Now, another way that we had contact with each other in the physical during the first year was that when he would post stuff, which he rarely posted, like he was pretty much, his Facebook page was pretty much like non-active, but when he would post stuff, I would love it. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind when I get to a certain point of this story. But yeah, I used to love his post on Facebook as well. And then when I would post, you know, he would react, but I could feel his reaction when I post. It was like a little way where I would post on there to kind of flirt with him, you know, when he was doing, you know, it all in my private areas. I would post like little emojis and stuff like that just to flirt with him and let him know that, you know, whatever. It was fun. You know, I used to do that as well. So pretty much during the first year, I pretty much intuitively knew that I needed to start my ascension journey. So it didn't really bother me that we didn't have physical contact. I missed him, you know, and I yearned for him. I longed to talk to him and stuff like that. But I intuitively knew that I needed to focus on my ascension process. And that's what I did. And also, like, during that time, like I said, I couldn't keep him off of me. So my life pretty much consisted of my ascension process, which was like, I used to get so many downloads, which is basically like my ancient knowledge coming to me, stuff that I needed to know when I needed to know it. During that time, I observed tarot readers, so I would watch tarot readings and watched how they operated. I started seeing people. I swear, I watched so many countless readings, so many countless tarot readers, and then I'd be like, karmic, she's lying. Like, it was a lot of that. Also helping people that had just got off of their twin flame journeys or was kind of lost and didn't know, you know, what was going on, and just reading the comments. Like, I did a lot of studying the spiritual community on YouTube. And so I also learned my birth chart. I did a lot of learning. And between that and paying him attention, because, you know, that man would have me in my bed damn near all day, and my rose was getting charged regularly, I shall say. And when I say all day, at least 3, 4, 5 times a day, that man wanted me doing that. And me, and if he sensed that I did not finish the job, he wouldn't stop until I finished the job. He also wanted my attention, so it was like I would tap into him, because if I'm focused on other stuff, I'm not really focused on him, and he can feel if I'm not really thinking about him or focused on him. So I would spend a lot of time, you know, pleasuring myself, because he wanted me to do that several times a day. And I would spend, you know, a lot of time like tapped into him, and so he could feel me and know I'm thinking about him and stuff like that. Focused on my children, because I still had a household. I was a single mother, you know. I had only been separated. I was with my ex-husband for 14 years. I had only been out of that for 2 years. So I was pretty much trying to get my footing on being a single mother, taking care of the house, you know, being a mother to my children. It was a lot on my plate, but he was a high priority. He was up there, you know, and I made sure I fulfilled his needs. He wouldn't have had it any other way. So for him to know whether I finished the job lets you know how much of a connection. Like, we had a very, very, very strong connection. And I can tell you how strong it was. Like, one time, like, very rarely would I not do it. Very rarely. But one time I decided not to. Like, he kept trying to push me to do it, and I was like, I ain't want to do it. So I'm laying in bed trying to go to sleep. Now, this is another paranormal when I'm giving you a heads up. So I'm trying to go to sleep, and out of nowhere, like, I did like a tooth chomp, like, but it was loud. And next thing I know, he's in me. Like, he basically possessed my body, used my hand to do it, and then waited till I did what I needed to do, finish myself off, and then he was like, okay. Like, when I say that man was an intricate part of my life, Like, he came and went as he pleased. He would come in my house, you know what I'm saying, as he wanted to. I was like very available to him. And he came and went as he pleased. He wanted me to do what he wanted me to do, how often he wanted me to do it. And if I didn't, then it would be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Very rarely would. Now, sometimes he would let it slide. He'd be like, okay, one day go by. It depends on if I'm mad about something. Like Valentine's Day had passed. And I didn't hear from him. I was hoping to at least hear from him on Valentine's Day. Now, me and him first crossed paths in August. So 6 months went by. And I was hoping I would have heard from him by Valentine's Day. Didn't hear anything. So I was kind of irritated. I didn't want to do anything. So he let me have a day or two to be mad. And then he came back like, okay, you done had your mad time. Time to get back to the regular scheduled program. Like, he was very had me on a schedule. Like, he wanted things the way he wanted them done, and I went with it. And we did this for a whole year. Now, like I said, when we first made contact, when he first found me, it was during the Lionsgate portal of 2022. Now, after the full year had happened, the full year went by, the Lionsgate portal of 2023, he messaged me on Instagram finally. And that went kind of left. Now, when he messaged me at the very end of the year, when the year completed, it was around Lionsgate portal 2023. So he messaged me on Instagram, and I just knew, like, oh, it's time. It's time for us to come into union. Because during the time where I was doing my spiritual work, doing my ascension work, I had, did what I needed to do. He was also doing community work. So he had stuff going on too. So I'm like, okay, now we're going to come together and we're going to be a power couple now. So when he messaged me, I was excited. So doing the messaging and stuff, it was flirty, it was fun. And I said, so when are you going to come scoop me up? So he said he was going to come get me. I can't remember. It was like within a few days. Or he said the weekend. It was something like that. So the day came and went, and he didn't say anything. So I messaged him, and I didn't really bring it up, but he brought it up the second time. I was doing our second messaging. So he said, I want to see you on such and such day. So I was like, okay. I said, are you sure? He was like, yes. So that day came and went. He didn't say anything. So I'm like, what is going on? So shortly thereafter, on his Instagram story, he posted a picture of a newborn baby. I'm looking like, who baby is that? But the baby kind of looked like him. But it didn't. But I knew it was his. You're not going to look at the baby and tell it's his baby. And then he posted, like, this is all on a story. It was on his Instagram story. Because he would post Instagram stories. Like, he posted Instagram stories before and was looking like, why you don't like my stories or whatever. He messaged me. So I'm like, let me look at this man's story. Start liking stories. So then I started paying attention to his stories. So when he posted the baby, I was kind of taken aback, because mind you, we've been in connection, for a year. Now, during that year, I was totally faithful. I was celibate for that entire year. The last person I had slept with was my twin flame back in June of 2022. Here we are in August of 2023, and I'm totally loyal, totally celibate. Wasn't even talking to no other men or nothing. I was totally faithful and devoted to him because I knew he was my spiritual spouse. And I'm thinking that he's doing what he needs to do on his end, not thinking that there was a baby on the way during that time, not thinking that any of that kind of stuff was going on. And then he also, on his story, had a picture of him and a woman and a bunch of other people, like, standing in front of like a boat doing like a group hug type of picture. And I'm like, who is this woman? So, I mean, the way it looked to me was he was trying to tell me some things before we saw each other. I guess that was his way of telling me, what he had going on. But my first instinct was to block him. So I blocked him on Instagram and I blocked him on Facebook. I was like, it totally threw me off. Now, the woman in the picture by the boats doing a group hug thing, she was black, a black woman. the baby that he posted, that he had in his stories looked like a Mexican baby. Like the baby didn't look black. So I'm like, oh, that's not the baby's mother. So now I'm like, who is this baby's mother? So now that I see there was a baby on the way during the first year, and I see that the woman obviously like he's black. Two black people ain't making no Mexican baby, no Spaniard looking baby. So I'm like, who is this baby's mother? And then I had to think back to when I dropped the dresser off. Well, that person that crossed my mind, but I actually did some more research online. I'm like, okay, because I never thought anything like you couldn't tell me nothing about that man. Like I'm telling you, when I was in La La Land and I had on rose-colored glasses, I just thought because obviously he was awakened before me. He was awakened enough to be able to find me, be able to swoop in like he did. Like he had already been awakened. He already experienced his great awakening. I was, after him. So I'm assuming that, he was like leading me. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming that he was like, a sure enough stand-up guy. That's my spiritual spouse. Well, I really called him my husband. And he had already been awakened, and he just came in to come and get me, and all that fairy tale shit. It couldn't have been further from the truth.